Hey everyone, so I actually did a video quite a while back about how to defeat Commander Zhalk pretty consistently on the Nautiloid on Tactician. Since then there's been an honor mode and the new subclass is out for patch 8, so a lot of changes, and I'd like to just make an update to that video and highlight all the kind of things that you can do to raise your chances of winning against Commander Zhalk and getting that Flaming Greatsword, the Everburn Blade, and getting some XP out of it. And then I'm also going to cover how to tackle the beach area and the ruins without wiping or possibility of losing your honor run. It is an intro area, but figured it'd just be a nice add-on if you're going through honor mode for your first time. So let's get into it. For patch 8, we've got some really good options. Two specifically good options are the Paladin Oath of the Crown, and we've got the Cleric with the Death Domain. So why are these two kind of top picks for the Nautiloid portion? For your Cleric, you've got new cantrips, specifically Bursting Sinew, and another one which is Toll the Dead. Now, Toll the Dead is just a pretty strong cantrip in comparison to what's available early on in the game for clerics. Clerics generally, you don't really have anything else except Sacred Flame, and then maybe you'll have some other options here and there, but it's kind of tough to do damage with clerics in terms of cantrips. And with Toll the Dead, you've got a cantrip that does 1d12 damage in terms of dice. That's higher than Eldritch Blast. And you're targeting wisdom saves, and there are a lot of creatures in the early game who don't have very high wisdom saves. So you're already looking at a better option than, say, Sacred Flame. The second thing about Death Domain clerics that make them really good is that they come with an ability where you can target one additional creature with a necromancy cantrip from the get-go. So if you're targeting any of the Cambions, or if you're targeting any of the creatures in the beginning, you can target an additional one. So that's 2d12 damage that you're putting out from the beginning, targeting wisdom saves. Really good option if that's where you're looking to go. And this also gives you a second option for command, because it is important if you want to get the Everburn Blade, then you have to make sure that you can make Commander Zhalk drop the weapon and that you pick it up as soon as possible. He won't pick the weapon back up, but it does contribute to the damage that you can put out per round with Lae'zel or any other character that can use a greatsword. So by having command, you've got Shadow Heart's 2 command spell slots, and then your 2 spell slots if you pick a cleric. Now, if you're not feeling the cleric class, then you've got another option, which is quite good in my opinion, especially for the early game, is the Paladin. Now, Paladin, Oath of the Crown, it may not seem like a big deal, but the Righteous Clarity ability, where you can target yourself or an ally to additionally grant the target's proficiency bonus to their attack rolls. And as you can see, at level 1, your proficiency bonus is going to be a +2. So you're adding essentially a +2 or 10% bonus to all your attack rolls from the beginning. Commander Zhalk's AC is a little bit on the higher end, especially with the beginning, so that's a big boost. You can provide it to either yourself with the Paladin, equipping the Greatsword, or giving it to Lae'zel, and it's a 10 turn buff, which is, it's going to last the whole fight really. And with Paladin, you have your Divine Sense, which gives you advantage on attack rolls against Celestials, Fiends, and Undead, with advantage for 2 turns, and the Righteous Clarity, you're looking at really good chance to consistently provide damage to Commander Zhalk, so you can reach that threshold where you get to around 40 to 45 HP, where you can just blow him up with the Nautiloid tanks, or you can just keep damaging him, hoping that the Mind Flayer is going to survive all that. Now granted, if the Mind Flayer doesn't survive, then the fight is going to be very tough, and if you can't get the sword to drop, the Mind Flayer is just not surviving. You're going to have to run, plain and simple. Okay, so for our ability points, I'm going to be looking to kind of maintain strength here Now, later on in the game, you can take a multi-class and Hexblade. Now, is that necessary? It kind of depends on where you want to go with your build. If you want to keep your strength high with giant potions, then that's an option too. Or if you just want to be a singular charisma class, then Hexblade's a great option to use charisma as your modifier for attacking and damage. But a lot of ways you can do this. But for now, I'm personally just going to go with a high dex option, lower my charisma because I'm not going to be using it for the beginning, and pump up my HP just a little bit. And then I'm going to be just, it doesn't really matter too much how you spread your ability scores here. You've got a lot of options. More HP is nice, but again, the beginning Commander Zhalk's going to be able to punch through 13 HP, no problem. But the max amount of damage he's going to be able to do with his fists is 6. If you're really unlucky, he'll get a crit on you, and he'll double that. So I'm just going to boost my dexterity a little bit here, boost my charisma back to 10. Proficiency for this fight specifically doesn't matter too much. Athletics is nice for when you're doing shoves, but other than that, not too much. Okay, so now that we are in front of the fight, there are a couple things that we want to make sure that we have. One, we want to make sure that Shadowheart has command. This is absolutely essential. It is the crux of getting through the entire fight. There's no way you're going to be able to, I should say highly unlikely instead, that you're going to be able to beat Commander Zhalk if he's got the Everburn Blade. So make sure you have that. Bless is something I like to have going into the fight. You can cast Bless beforehand. It's going to last at least 10 turns, and you can restore your spell slot so that you can fully have command available going into the fight. And making sure that here you also have long range weapons equipped on whoever your character is going to be. And you can see that I've chosen a paladin here, so I just want to make sure that I have a long range weapon. And then Shadowheart, making sure that she has a long range weapon, and then collecting the Nautiloid tank from that's right next to Shadowheart's pod. Now, going in, you also want to make sure that you have us. That's a nice bit of damage, and worst case scenario can soak up some damage from Cambions or any of the other devils. Now, before you go in, you're going to get into a situation where you can kind of dip your weapons for an extra 1d4. The dip is going to last a little bit, as like 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 turns, which is a nice bit of damage. It does 1d4 damage. You can see here it says 3 turns remaining. And then right before the fight, you want to go into turn-based mode and see right here and just dash on number 1. Now this makes it so that when you start off the fight, you'll have an extra bit of movement so that within 1 turn, you'll be able to get to the Everburn Blade and then use Lae'zel's action or whoever your main character is going to be to equip the blade and then get ready for the next turn to start attacking Zhalk with. So that's the kind of prep you're going to do. And also from here, you can have your bless up as well, so that when you're fighting, you can have that extra bit of damage, which is, it really does make a difference. I would personally only cast something like Righteous Clarity only when the fight has started, so that you're not wasting any of the turns associated there, and it's only a bonus action. If you have Divine Sense and you want to use that as well, which I do recommend for this fight, then that's 2 turns. You definitely might want to make sure that you've already got the blade by the time you start actually using it, so that you can fully take advantage of the advantage you gain from that. So let's see what this looks like here. I'm going to be speeding up the playback a little bit here, just so you don't have to watch me fumble around. But basic idea is I'm going to be setting up to cast Bless. Then hitting the restoration pod so I can get my spell slots back, going with dash on all my characters so that I go into the fight with a full dash. Now, only thing you need to be aware of is if you unchain your characters at this point, some of your characters can get left behind the door, and that can be pretty disadvantageous, so recommend just keeping them. Even if your bless isn't fully at 10 turns, that's going to be okay because 9 turns of bless is more than enough for determining whether you're going to be able to beat Commander Zhalk or not. So you can see my initiative order here. I've got Zhalk at the top with Lae'zel and us right after. This makes sense. Zhalk has something like +4 to initiative, so he's likely going to go first most of the time unless we get really lucky. Mind Flayer, then Shadowheart, then the main character. So not bad in terms of initiative. This actually kind of works out, and you'll see that I can use shove to push back the Mind Flayer so that Commander Zhalk has to run over to get within range, which will trigger opportunity attack from all your melee. Good tactic if you want to get some free damage in outside of your turn. So once you get down Zhalk to about 30 to 40 HP, then this is your chance to deploy the Nautiloid tanks and finish them off, and the Mind Flayer if you want. If you've been really lucky with the Mind Flayer getting a lot of hits in on Zhalk and it's pretty healthy, you can actually maintain the Mind Flayer's ally status by leaving one fiend alive to the north when the second group flies in. So Mind Flayer will continue to be on your side and could provide stuns and a hefty amount of damage towards those Cambions, but again, this is all dependent on you being lucky and things working out. I personally like to just keep it pushing by killing Zhalk and the Mind Flayer. You've got a lot of XP, likely level 2 at the beach, which puts you ahead in preparation for the beach fight with the Intellect Devourers and the Bandit Ruins. So now that we're at the beach, you can see that you're going to be taking on about 3 Intellect Devourers. They're not very hard, but with a few unlucky rolls, you can completely wipe here. So if you don't feel comfortable taking them on with, you can see that I have Lae'zel because she died on the Nautiloid, so she ends up actually dead on the beach, which you can respawn her, and that'll work out with you having 3 to fight with. You can go around and get Astarion or Gale and completely wash these Intellect Devourers, but not too hard of a fight if you just sneak up on them. If you really want, blow one of the Intellect Devourers up with a Nautiloid tank that leads right next to it. My primary tactic for this fight is that I'm actually going to grab high ground so that I get the high ground bonus, so the to hit bonus is going to be a little bit higher, and then just make them come to me. They can use this synaptic attack to get some long range hits in, but generally you should be strong enough to take them on, especially if you have the Everburn Blade. You can just go in with a melee and then attack them from afar with Shadowheart, Astarion, or your party composition, however it is. Now I'm going to be going over to the top side part of the ruins for the bandits. Now there's 2 initial points that you can handle this. You can go with the charisma check route and they'll actually walk away fully, or you can just go around back and then immediately kill 2 of the bandits who are standing over kind of a cracked floor, which you can drop by shooting the rope, and then attack the bandit who's standing on the box. You can shove him off and he's kind of screwed from there. Only thing you need to watch out for is that there's a mage who's on the other side, and she generally is going to start off the fight with a mage armor, then just repeatedly cast Ice Knife. So if you're grouped up here, you can pretty easily ruin your Onimo run even after getting your blade. So just be sure to spread your group out so you're not caught by that. And then if you just move to the back where you snuck in, near where this small bandit was, then she'll actually ruin her positioning just to try to get to you, at which point you can just dash with one action, or as you can see with how I did it, I was able to sneakily trigger the fight and slowly trickle my party members in. And this is kind of the theme for honor mode if you want to be successful and really take out a fight quickly and efficiently. You don't want to be in a situation where you trigger a fight without having good positioning, without having your buffs in place, and if you're lucky, then one of your party members will trigger the fight and the rest of them can sneak in and get some free hits in. So really great way to eliminate combatants off the bat and put the action economy in your favor. If you have melee, you can get advantage by sneaking up on a target and destroying them, and you can see the sight lines of the targets by holding shift. Sometimes it's really hard, but we can mitigate that with things like invisibility potions later on, or just using things like Misty Step or Dimension Door. So you have two options once you beat the bandits. One route is going to be doing a charisma check, not bad charisma check. You just need to have guidance and then a high charisma character to approach the door, and he'll let you in. You'll have a surprise round, so a round of free attacks where he can't do anything, can't take reactions, and then he's going to try to get his friends. But at this point, if you're level 2 and you have 4 party members, you should be able to get through this bandit's health no problem. Second route is there's a door kind of near the back where you can face all the undead that are protecting Wither's crypt, and you can do that, but personally I like to just push through this one bandit and then set up for all the bandits that are setting up behind the door. Now you can go through the cracked floor, but just be advised that once you do so, there's a door behind there where they're all waiting to ambush you. But if you go through with the charisma check route, then you can set up to explode a barrel that's set up right next to their ambush point, and you can just kind of funnel them through a doorway and eliminate them entirely. Now that we've covered the bandits, both on top side and inside the ruins, there's only one last fight to deal with before we get to the goblins that are trying to raid the grove, and it's the undead. Now, with the undead, all you really need to focus on is that they're going to be casting Fog Cloud, Ray of Frost, and any other spell scrolls that they may have on their person. You can loot their staffs before the fight, and then you can actually trigger the fight 2 different ways. First way is that you go back near where Withers is, and that'll trigger the fight automatically. It's not a great position to be in, especially because they'll start casting Fog Cloud on your group, and then you'll kind of be stuck trying to face off against the melee undead. Second way to trigger it is if you throw one of the undead corpses, and they'll just start waking up from there. Only thing I really recommend here is to light up some of the braziers so that if you have kind of bow and arrow type characters, that won't get disadvantaged for low light conditions, and then making sure that you grab the melee weapon that the melee undead has in front of the statue of Jurgle, so that when he has to attack, he's going to just throw rocks, and that counts as a ranged attack. So if you have a melee against that one, it's going to be disadvantage on his part. So just a great way to mitigate a lot of damage just by making his rolls really bad. Okay, so I'm going to be posting more honor mode fights later on, and if you like this video or if it really helped out, please like and subscribe. Thank you.